sure. All right, so let's get into some movie reviews and some television shows.
Like we promised you, bringing the TV and the movies back to talk FNF TV. 2024. All right, so we watched some movies and some shows.
We earned our black card back.
We did.
We want to start with American Fiction.
Okay, so you can take lead on American Fiction.
All right, so we watched American Fiction. If y'all not familiar with the gentleman name, I think his name is Jeffrey. I want to make sure I say it correctly. If you've seen the Batman, he was what's his name? Gordon. I can't think of Lieutenant Gordon. He was in that movie. He was also in Casino Royale. He was the FBI agent.
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. Yep. So he's also the Watcher in Marvel. So pretty well-to-do actor. So American Fiction basically is about him. He's a professor, but also an author.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of a little bit in a rut career-wise. He's trying to find his next project. And in the midst of it,
he has a block. He hasn't written something in like about 3 years. And in the beginning of the movie, his publication, he has to take a leave.
Yep. So he takes a leave of absence and he ends up meeting up with his family. You find out that Tracy Ellis Ross is his sister. And
Lisa.
His mom is going through dementia.
Yes. So his mom is Agnes, played by Leslie Uggams.
So, of course, this is a black movie, so they could not afford Tracy Ellis Ross through the whole thing.
Dies immediately.
She dies within, before the first act is over with. She has a crazy heart attack while they're just at a dinner table talking about what they plan on doing.
Yeah. She's stressed. She's been going through a divorce. She lost everything in her divorce to her wife. And
yeah, I said, did they make it clear that she was a lesbian?
Yeah. Okay. She said her.
Yeah.
Like my wife, like the whole time. So she obviously was in a lesbian relationship. She also had children and she lost everything, including her kids and half of all of her things to her wife in the divorce. She's not really close to her brother like that, and she's been drinking the pain away.
So she has her heart attack abruptly, and that brings, most of the family in, and you end up learning that they also have another brother.
Mm-hmm.
He was also married.
Played by Sterling K. Brown, Clifford.
And Sterling did his thing, man. He was actually a very standout character in this movie.
I loved him in this. I love Sterling K. Brown in everything, though. I think he has a really good mixture of being able to play very serious highbrow roles and being like a thespian for real, and then just being able to just be like a nigga, a hilarious nigga for real. I love him.
He's shown, even with that movie he did with Regina King, he has a very good element of humor into how he does his acting performances.
Yes, he's amazing. I love him.
And so after that, you learn that he's their gay brother, but he was married to a woman at first. Can you hear me?
Okay, sorry.
He was married to a woman at first. They end up getting a divorce, and now he is in Arizona living out his best gay dreams.
Yes.
So shout out to him. And then this is when the movie kind of starts to get into the meat of the movie. He writes, he's frustrated with where American Fiction is for black authors.
Mm-hmm.
And he writes very highbrow, very pristine work.
Yeah, complicated works where smart people enjoy his work, but the masses don't enjoy his work because it's not for the masses. It's for people who enjoy reading. And
so in the beginning he sees a conference going on where he sees Issa Rae character, and she's introducing her book, and her book is if Krishan Rock could spell. That's really what
her name is Centara Gordon, and she's an author also. So
she reads off her book. It's very baby mama-ish. I'm trying to get through the struggle type of conversation.
It's very it's highly whatchamacallit? What's the word I'm looking for? It's like a caricature of blackness.
It's like if Tyler Perry 100%. Had a GED.
Yeah, and it's not just it's old school slave colloquialisms mixed in with hood stuff, and it's like I was about to bust the cap in your ass. Like it just don't make no sense. So it's like highly parodied.
It was
her book.
Yeah, so
it's amazing.
That's where this whole kind of conversation kind of leads into. So he frustrated and seeing where the market's going, he just writes some BS because he kind of has to put a book out for his manager to kind of try to pitch, and he writes some BS.
Yeah, he throws every stereotype in there and puts like absolutely zero intelligence into it whatsoever.
So the manager gets it. He tells him it's trash, but he still sends it out.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you could kind of guess, the white people love it.
Oh my God, this is a masterpiece. It's like such an important telling of the black story. It's so raw.
That's exactly how they were doing it. But an important caveat has to happen in this portion. They need him to match the type of person that's in this book. These two men are two different people. They're expecting someone from the streets,
yes,
prison, violent track record, and this man is nothing but that. Like I said, college professor.
So his name is
Arthur
Thelonious. His name is Thelonious. He comes from a family of doctors. As a PhD holding writer, he is the failure of his family because all of them are medical doctors. So like he's like the ugly duckling of his family as far as education, and he doesn't match up. I think it's hilarious. He doesn't match up with the type of blackness that his family expects him to be, or the white people expect him to be.
So he pretends to be an individual that spent time in jail and that wrote this book as an inspiration.
He literally says that he's like on the run.
Yeah. He like makes them think that he's literally on the run while he's writing this book. He never really shows his face. Everything they talk about is on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets to a point where he's so frustrated, like, why are they funding this awful piece of work that I've created, that he tries to take it to the great extreme, and he names the book Fuck.
Yeah, so the book initially is called My Pathology with a F. Not the
That was his
not the
first
TH.
try at being at slang.
Yeah, so it was I think it is hilarious that he thought that pathology with the F was gonna be like hood enough. Like,
it's gonna take him to the
niggas
next
in the
level.
hood generally know what the fuck pathology means in the first goddamn place. Like, you're way too educated to even try to be a caricature of this in the first place, and the white people still fell for it.
They ate it up. That was exactly what it was exactly what they wanted to see, and they ate it up from him. Like
this was such it wasn't even real raw hoodness. Like, it was a caricature of hoodness from a black person who doesn't even know what that is to begin with, because that wasn't his life.
So it was interesting for us because one of the conversations that and criticism we've been having in regards to black art is its need to survive having to be followed by having a white audience.
It won't be marketed correctly if there's not some type of white element.
It won't get green light.
Yeah.
If it's not having a white element to it. And that was what the main thing that he was kind of exposing without exposing it. Like, literally all the producers and all of the folks who were green lighting projects were these folks who were so out of touch and only wanted to see extreme versions of blackness. And we got to understand where it's like the idea that people have of blackness isn't created by black people.
No.
It is curated by white people.
Because as black people, we know that blackness is entirely more complex than what we're represented as on the media.
No, for sure.
That's why when you get black stories that are told by black people that are on a smaller scale that aren't like super popular, then you do get slightly more nuanced characters. I think American Fiction was one of those like rare instances where we got a more nuanced Black experience.
Yeah. And I think the only thing that kind of threw me off was the ending. So the movie ends kind of abruptly in a way where you kind of realize that.
Before you get there, I do want to, when you were saying that everything was greenlit by the black people,
White people.
The white people, I do want to point out that the only person who gave him pushback was black, the other author. So he was on this board that he got voted on to vote for like the best book of the year, and his book happened to be on that list, and he pushed back against it. And then all of the white people on the board voted for it, and then him and the other black author were the only ones who were like, no, this is not the black experience, this is not an important black story to tell. And these white people felt like the black voices that were put in this group specifically because there was no diversity, like they didn't listen to them at all. They were like, no, black people, this is an important black story for other black people, and this black voice needs to be heard regardless of how one-dimensional you think it makes black people look, because it's important for black people. I think that was so hilarious.
No, but
because who are you to tell black people what stories are important for them to hear? But that's what happens in Hollywood on a regular basis.
Yeah, but it also gets kind of tricky in that way because we're getting stories from black bourgeoisie people, and we're not going to get the stories from, like, they're disgusted by the poor black. So granted, we're not maybe getting the most highly thought out version of it, but there is a argument to be had where it's like, yeah, just because you say this is what you wanted to be the image of blackness doesn't mean it's going to directly reflect what the majority of black people going on. Because we have conversations with black people all the time where once we start talking about the actual finances of black people, they try to act like, oh, well, those aren't the black people I'm talking about. So we gotta keep that in mind. I'm not saying that it's a white executive's place to say that.
Yeah.
But I think it should be acknowledged.
I want to ask you, what do you think about the acting?
Well, hold on. Let's tell them what happened at the ending.
Okay, yeah.
So at the ending, it is abrupt a little bit. But you kind of realize that the whole thing that he was voting on, is, you don't really get that as real or not. You kind of get the understanding that this was a movie that he was selling to a producer, and they changed up a few things, and he ends up selling the movie rights to the book to a producer, and that's just where the movie ends, with him just driving off. Whereas,
well, he sells the movie rights, but as long as he gets to write the movie.
Yeah.
So that was his only caveat. So at the end, he's with the white producer, and the producer's like, we gotta add some razzle dazzle at the end. Like, this is not a novel, this is a movie. We can't just leave it like open ended. You can't just do your like artistic thing. People want to be satisfied, so we gotta give them something. Yeah.
So they I can't remember exactly how he chose to end it. It was kind of wild.
So how he chose, they did a couple different endings. He does one like where he walks up on the stage when he's accepting his speech.
Yep.
And he's like, he says, I have a confession to make, and then it cuts off. He does another where
the police come.
He does another where he leaves the thing. Well, the woman, his love interest, walks in and he leaves with her or something like that. And then the last one that they decide is the ending of the movie is he's up there. And then remember, we told y'all that his persona was like a fugitive. So the FBI comes up and he's trying to be like, wait, no, my name is Thelonious. I'm not a fugitive at all. Like, y'all should know this. Like, I did nothing. I'm not a criminal at all. And then he walks out, and then he gets shot up. And he gets unjustly killed by the police, like a lot of black men do, and that's the end of the movie. And then that is the ending that the white producer likes the most, again, because Hollywood loves black trauma. So that's what they end up with, and that's how the movie ends. Yep. He gets shot up, which is hilarious. That we finally, like I said, got a slightly more nuanced black story, but it still ended up in the black man being shot and killed by the police. Like, hilarious. I love this movie.
So no, it was a good movie. I'm glad we got to see that. So yeah, it's up there. So if you can't, check it out. Do we have anything to add before we finish up for that one?
What do you think about the?
You said with the acting, right?
I want to talk about the performances. Yeah,
I wasn't mad at the performances. I think Sterling probably was the best performance out of them. He definitely stole the show.
Sterling's story was very nuanced. His father died before he figured out that he was gay. I love when we tell black gay men stories that are also a little bit more nuanced. He wasn't like, he was just like a man who happened to be gay also, and he was a baby gay at like 40 years old, which also I don't think I've seen that experience told through a black man's perspective. And he was going through all of his trying to figure out like who he is, and like his parents don't accept. And his mom, even though she's going through Alzheimer's and dementia, there's a scene where they're in the nursing home, and then she's like, I knew you weren't a sissy.
No, I thought she said a queer.
Yeah, she said, oh yeah, she was like, I knew you weren't a queer. They're like dancing, they're having a good time. She just like went through a whole mental break. He finally calmed her down, and she's like, I knew you weren't a queer. And then he just walks away.
Yeah, he just breaks down.
Yeah,
sad.
he's just like you could tell he was just so defeated.
Yeah, because they had a rough relationship. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was pretty much.
I just wanted to give a little quick shout out to Myra Taylor, who played Lorraine, and Raymond Anthony, who played Maynard. I thought that was just like a really nice little like heartwarming part of the movie. Two old black people finding love with each other and getting married really quickly. I just thought that was really heartwarming. I thought that was a good little tidbit to throw into the movie, and it made it really nice for me.
And
I like this movie a lot.
And shout out to Erica Alexander, who was the love interest for Monk.
Yes.
I will say this. I did feel him.
Coraline.
It was one scene that it resonated with me when she said that she liked his bad book, and she talked about it. I felt that. I could feel where it's like, yo, I respected what you cared about and what you loved, and this is what you talking about, what you into now is my trash. I felt I understand where he could feel disrespected in that. So
yeah, because I specifically thought she wasn't gonna like that. Oh, this isn't the